Hi there, my name is Andy Dunn and you're very welcome to the Solo Set podcast.
A shout out for a sponsor, Crowley's Music, Cork City, Ireland. A home for everything music, so you can bring music home.
In this podcast, I want to take from my 40 years of experience as an entertainer and share with you some of the things I've learned. I hope to cover everything from learning your instrument to getting ready to get out in public and gig. And when I say instrument, I always include your voice, because your voice is your main instrument. I'll also talk about the gear you're going to need to perform. PA system, do you want to use pedals? Will you use a stomp box? Will you use backing tracks? Etc. There's a lot to cover there. Then nitty gritty stuff like putting a set list together for a particular situation. No one set list really works for everything. In a band, that's a completely different scenario, because you can't mix up the set list much on the fly really, but when you're solo, that's one of the advantages, is you can pull something out that you may not have done for ages or whatever. But with a band, I never recommend that, because it's better to have it rehearsed and have it fresh. Of course, you need to know what you're doing solo too. But what I mean is, with a band, you've got 4 or 5 people who are going to have to know. I'll be hoping you contact me as well by email. The email address is thesoloset@gmail.com. And I'd just be looking for you to send me ideas if you have questions, if you have information that you feel I haven't included, something that's relevant that I may not have covered. I'd love to hear from you, I really would. If you're starting out, I'd love to hear from you, because I'd like to help if I can. And if you've been on the road a long time, then maybe you can help out people who are starting off as well. So I'd like to make this a big effort from all of us, really, to help each other out and fill this whole podcast with information that's useful. My main instrument, as I say, has always been acoustic guitar. So a lot of the information I'll be giving out here around instruments will be about the acoustic guitar. I'm not really qualified to talk about other instruments when it comes to gigging solo. So again, I'll be looking for your input here. If you're a solo player who plays keyboard, if you're part of a band, you play drums, you play bass, whatever. There must be don't do's that you have, or definitely do's that you have that you can share with us here. So I'd love to hear them as well. Once again, give us an email.
Email your questions with your name to thesoloset@gmail.com.
Yep, as the man said. Questions are always welcome as well. I'm looking forward to getting questions from people who might be just starting out, or people thinking about starting out. And again, I'll be looking for people with experience to help me answer those questions. At this stage, I want to introduce our sponsors. Crowley's Music here in Cork have come on board to sponsor the 4 episodes in the series. So I want to thank them so much. Crowley's have been around longer than Rory Gallagher's Strat, and I know that for a fact because he bought the Strat in Crowley's. There'll be lots more talk about Crowley's as we go through the episodes, but just to let you know for now that any of the stuff I talk about instruments or about gear or anything like that, check out Crowley's. If they don't have it, they'll find it. So this particular podcast will be just 4 episodes of audio. Then I'm planning on moving over onto video podcasts, but they will be short video podcasts, 15 minutes, max 20 minutes. And for that, I'd love you to send me some stuff. Like, if you tag me in a live gig video or something, I want to see you do your thing, like, and photos of your PA setup, your guitar setup, your pedal setup. So tag the Solo Set in your posts and I'll share them on mine. I've got the socials for the podcast up and ready to go. There's not much content in them at the moment, but I'll start filling that up when I start doing the video podcasts. And they will be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and TikTok. More about those in a couple of episodes. I'm also going to be doing Q&As with people who've been on the scene for a long time, or some people who have gone from the scene and gone on to bigger things. And maybe also people who've just come on the scene. But I'll have a set of questions really that I will ask the same questions to everybody. So I'm hoping that'll be interesting. It should be.
You're listening to the Solo Set Podcast with Andy Dunn.
So that's the introduction done. Let's get started. Okay, so you're in your bedroom. You're practicing your guitar like crazy. You're learning off songs. If you're anything like I was when I started, you're a sponge. I was going through, I don't know how many songs. I was learning songs really quickly. So I'm sure a lot of you are doing that. If your aim is to go gigging in bars, then you're probably working on learning a large repertoire and a diverse repertoire, which you're going to need. And to be relaxed as a solo artist in any situation, you will need at least 30 or 40 songs in your pocket before you even think about doing a gig. Because being a solo entertainer with a guitar means you don't get like big long instrumentals in the songs, and they don't stretch out as long as they do for bands and stuff. So you need to take that into account. Like they say, the average song is about 3 minutes long. Well, you can cut that down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds when you're a solo entertainer. Unless, of course, you do the chorus about 20 times at the end. I want to take a step back here too, just a little bit, with regard to when you're learning the songs. Because the keys that you sing the songs in are extremely important. No, I mean that in a couple of different ways. The main way, I mean it really is the key that you're singing in it. Is it in your range? You know, a lot of people learn the songs in the key that they're recorded in. And that's not necessarily good for your range. It could be above your range, below your range. So it's best to find a key that's comfortable for you. Learn the chords in that key. Also bear in mind that you might have to go kind of to the limit of your range sometimes for the sake of dynamic. So the song doesn't sound monotone, you know what I mean? It needs to have some kind of vocal dynamic in it to keep people listening. Also practice standing with a mic stand, and it doesn't even have to be plugged in, just put the microphone on a mic stand and practice the actual placement of the mic. What comes to mind for me here is a few years ago, I used to do this residency in a bar in town on a Saturday evening, and this kid used to be outside busking, and I knew his mother and father, but they'd be sitting down outside the bar proudly listening to their son, and he was brilliant. He still is. I was watching him and I knew he could play. He was using a looper. He was a fantastic singer, but he was singing down into the microphone. And I asked his mother and father, would they mind if I just had a word with him? So I went over and I said it to him. I said, look, you're going to kill your throat, like, because your whole chest is closed up. You're leaning in over the microphone. You're facing down into the microphone. Whether it was shyness or what, I don't know, or just something he'd built up over time. Because at that stage, he was singing a long, long time. And he was still, I don't know, about 15 or 16 or something at the time. But anyway, later, eventually he started a band, and their manager came to me one time and said, J.S. Andy Jur was telling me that you gave him advice years ago about the placement of the microphone and all that. He said, the fecker's up on his toes now, constantly trying to reach up to the mic. And I'm like, well, at least he took it to the extreme, you know. So who I'm talking about there is a man called Jura Hearn. He's well known here in Cork. He's been in America now for a couple of years, and he's really ripping it up over there as well. So I have to give Jura a word there because, yeah, absolutely fantastic. Actually, he'd be well worth giving a shout to now to do one of those Q&As. So again, practice that at home. You don't even have to plug it in. Just stand with it, sing, and just see if you can breathe. You know, don't go down into it. Don't go too high up either. Just have it kind of level with your mouth, you know. And the other thing as well is if you have a guitar hanging over you, I don't know how people play the guitar, an acoustic especially, when it's hanging down really low. You'll have no control over it. I can't see how you could. So I saw a thing recently there, and they said basically it should just, the strap is there for a reason. If you're still holding the guitar up while you're playing it, then the strap is not up high enough. You should be able to take your hands off the guitar, be comfortable and put them back on and be free to play. Not feel like you have to hold on to the guitar. And while we're there, we might as well talk about where you're going to place your phone or tablet. And I have seen situations where people have blocked out like almost 50% of their face with a big iPad or something. That's kind of crazy. I do use a phone myself. I use a thing called Setlist Helper, and it's basically just for set lists. I don't have many lyrics written in it. I just have my set lists. But and I also use it to control my mixer. We'll get to that another time. But what I'm saying is I keep it down low. I keep it low enough that I can see it. Just by looking at it, I don't have to put my head down. But I know it's not going to block my face. And when I was talking about mic placement, that's the same, kind of have it in such an angle or such a way that it's not blocking your face. Especially if you're using a floor monitor, you want the back of the microphone to be kind of directly pointing at the monitor, so you're not getting feedback. But the old tablet in your face is it's crazy, and people honestly don't like it. I think it's kind of insulting, really. Another one then is the actual placement of your mic stand. First of all, let me recommend a boom stand if you're not using one already, because they keep you kind of free to move and stuff. Now, a mic stand has 3 legs, okay, not 4. That pole going down the middle, that is not a stand. So that's not meant to touch the floor. Now, the way I would recommend standing a mic stand is it's got 3 legs. So what you want to have is you want to have one facing you and the other 2 going out. I've seen so many people use it the other way around. And let me tell you, if somebody bumps off that mic stand, that microphone is going to hurt your mouth. So my idea is you have one of the legs facing straight at you and the other 2 are facing out. There's way more support if somebody bumps off the mic stand, which is way more likely to happen if you're using a boom stand. That's the downside of it, really, is there's a piece sticking out. The use of pedals really is a very personal thing. I have a couple of different setups, but the one that I find for a normal pub gig is a TC Helicon Play Acoustic. It's a pedal that you put both your guitar and your voice through. Now, just to let you know, I'm not getting paid to say this, but well, not now anyway. Let's see. But yeah, so it's an effects processor and basically a mixer and everything for your vocal and your guitar. It has everything you need, even if you want to use harmonies. I'll cover that as well, because less is more when it comes to harmonies. Less is more when it comes to everything, really. But you basically have every effect you're going to need for an acoustic guitar. And you have lots of effects for vocals as well, probably more than you'll need. All controlled by a small pedal on the ground. You can also buy an additional pedal with it, which is called the TC Helicon Switch 3. That kind of offloads some of the things you can do, so you can do more with your feet. And that includes looping. It's got a looper. Now, it's only a kind of a one-track looper, but depending on the kind of looping you're doing, it should really do the job. But again, as I said, that's a very personal decision to make, really, and what sound you want. But for somebody starting out, it's pretty affordable. I can't tell you what they cost now, but these things kind of drop down in price every now and again. I'm not even sure if they're being made new anymore, but you can find them online, all right. Definitely a good way to start. It's there's a bit of a learning curve with it, but well worth it. Obviously, that's not your only option when it comes to vocal and guitar processing in one. There are other ones as well, so check them out. Next in line would be some kind of a mixer. What I use myself is a Behringer Flow 8. Now, this thing is tiny. I was saying earlier, I control it from my phone. It's a tiny little thing, but what it's got, it's amazing, really. And even the preamps are Midas. They're Midas preamps, crystal clear preamps. You're going to get a great vocal sound, providing you use a good vocal mic. And it's just simple to use. It's got minimal effects. It's got really good EQ control on individual channels, on the master channel, and then you've got complete EQ control if you're using a floor monitor over the monitor. Separate monitor mix. There's actually 2 monitor mixes you can take out of it. Yeah, mad. It's mad, really. So that's what I use. So check that out as well. Again, I'm all about keeping stuff compact, but making sure you're getting a good sound and enough power, you know. Now, there is no power in that particular mixer. It's not a powered mixer. Which leads me on to, if you're using a non-powered mixer, to where do you go for PA, for speakers? The obvious answer here is powered speaker, of course. Thankfully, these days, stuff has become a lot more affordable. There's a lot more competition on the market. But I would advise, if you're going to use a single powered speaker, not to use anything less than a 12-inch speaker. You just won't get the bass response that you're going to need. And although some 10s and stuff will be advertised as giving you 20 to 20, that's not the case for travelling, really. What I mean is for the sound travelling. That might be the case coming directly out of the speaker, but it's not going to travel. Myself, I use one of those array systems. I started using LD systems, a German-made one. It was the Maui 11 I was using. Serious system altogether, cover anything, really, just one of them. But unfortunately, the last few years, I've had problems with my back and my legs. So I've had to get rid of it. The smaller version of it is called an LD Maui 5. So what I did is I actually bought 2 of those. And I have to say, I've only ever had to use 2 once. And that was in a large place. Your normal bar, it'll do fine. It really will. It's light. You have to kind of be careful with it because the Maui 11 is way more sturdy on its feet. The 5 not so much, but just mind it. Keep it away from people, you know. But again, if you don't have problems with your back, I'd recommend the 11. Then there are lots and lots of competition in that particular area with line array systems. EV makes some serious ones altogether. I'd love to have them, but I can't. I couldn't lift them. So really do a lot of research on that. Just be conscious of the fact that you're going to be lifting this, and a lot of them you don't need a monitor with, but I don't know, is it me being old-fashioned or what? I love having a monitor. And I found a perfect monitor. It's tiny. Is it 8-inch? But it's got great sound. Again, it's got great bass response because it's very close to me. And it was cheap. It was, 240 quid or something, 350 watt powered monitor. And it's just a lot more comfortable for me to use a monitor because the bottom line really is the sound that's coming out of your PA system, be it a 1 speaker or an array system or 2 speakers. That's the sound for the audience. That's not a sound for you. A lot of guys tend to turn speakers into themselves slightly and set the sound for them to feel comfortable. That's kind of not what it's about. The sound going out of the speakers is for the audience. Use a monitor. Again, the one I have is extremely lightweight. It's the business, it really is. I can't even remember what it's called now. But I will. But there are loads of them. There's loads of these small speakers out there, and they're the job for a monitor. The business. Just try get a high wattage like 300, 350 or something. And just one more thing there about the line array. I use a pad under the line array system. It's an isolation pad. Basically, it stops the bass frequencies from going through the floor. This is very handy in some pubs that have stages that are hollow, or if you're in a place that's normally used, if it's up on a height and it's normally used for, people eating during the day and they clear it, it's your stage. Again, that will be hollow, so that turns into basically like a sub. So this pad stops it from happening. I should have got the name of the pad now before I started recording this, but I'll add all that in the second episode. So until you give me more questions, that's about all I can say about the setup you'll need as a solo entertainer. Of course, the option of using backing tracks is always there. I have no experience with that. So I have a friend who's well experienced in it. So I may ask him to give me some advice on that, or even come on and talk about it. I have some experience in making backing tracks, all right. I made some for myself here, and I have them on a pedal that I use, but I don't use the tracks very often. And that's more about a confidence thing, really, which is why I don't want to be the one talking about the tracks. But I'm open to anybody who would like to give me information about it, because I'm interested in myself, obviously. So let me know, and hopefully we can get one or two of my friends who use them on a regular basis to give us some information about them.
You're listening to the Solo Set Podcast with Andy Dunn.
So I'm going to wrap up this first series just by recapping what I've covered so far. So I spoke about the monitor I use, an Alto TX308. It's 350 watt powered. I'd recommend it. Now, I've been looking at Alto stuff, and they have a lot of new products since, so there might even be better ones there. I also spoke about the pad that I use under my array system, and that's a Orlex Acoustics Gamma V2. Now, they call it a decoupler. I've noticed as well that because of the rise in the use of array systems, a lot more companies are coming out now with these. The Orlex is €133 at the moment, but on Thomann, Harley Bentley and other places have them like for less than 50 quid. I'm a believer in you get what you pay for, and I have no complaints about the Orlex one. So, it's probably worth the investment. Having said that, I've tried a Harley Benton power supply for my pedals, and it's amazing. So, again, research. In the next episode, I'm going to be covering stuff like making a set list. Now, I'm not going to talk about particular songs, although I've noticed a lot of people I've seen playing are like clones of each other. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I hope I'm not insulting anybody. But it gets kind of monotonous for an audience. Actually, I think in this crack you're supposed to be insulting people, aren't you? So you get some kind of feedback. No, I'm joking. But so what I'm going to be talking about is the dynamics of a set list, keys, tempos, stuff like that. Also, I'll be covering the whole health and safety issue. Yeah, that boring thing. But it's as much about the health and safety of the entertainer as it is about the audience. And we get a bit technical as well with regard to learning guitar, getting guitar lessons. I keep going back, and I will always go back to the voice. I recommend vocal coaching to anybody who does this for a living. I'll also speak to you about learning the basics of audio for your instrument, for your PA and for your voice. The basics will do, everything else will come. But buying the best of gear and turning it on and hoping you're going to sound great is really not going to happen. You need to arm yourself with some knowledge. So I'll finish up, and thank you all so much for listening. So I hope all of you out there who are actually doing this at the moment are having a load of fun and living your best lives. But just know that you're a part of something that makes people feel good. And I've always had that in my head. So yeah, get out and do it, guys. And I have a lot of stuff to get through in the next episode as well, but I'd love some feedback from this one. So I'm going to be setting up a special WhatsApp number for this podcast. But in the meantime, please email me.
Email your questions with your name to thesoloset@gmail.com.
Or leave your comments and questions and inspirational information on the socials. At the moment, it's Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. I'll be focusing on YouTube as soon as I move over into the video podcasts. So, talk to you soon, guys.